What do examiners look for in the IELTS speaking test? Is it A, interesting ideas, B, good English, or C, good communication skills? Let's find out. Hello, it's Keith from the Keith Speaking Academy and the YouTube channel English Speaking Success, here to help you become a more confident speaker of English. So, what is it that IELTS examiners are looking for? Right? Was it interesting ideas, good English, good communication skills? The quick answer is B, good English. That's what they really are evaluating, your level of spoken English. Now then, interesting ideas. Well, of course you need ideas in order to be able to speak on different topics, but it doesn't matter if they're interesting or not interesting. If the examiner agrees or disagrees, they don't evaluate your ideas. So they help, of course, but they're not the key thing that they evaluate. B, communication skills. Again, they help. If you're a good communicator, and I mean a bit of eye contact, loud voice or clear voice, clear enunciation, speaking a good pace, all of that helps, but it's not evaluated. The key thing is, the one thing that the examiner evaluates is your ability to speak in English, speak natural, spoken, conversational English. That's what you need to do. Now, the examiner breaks this down into 4 areas, and let me just show you each one and give you some real deep insights and tips that you may not be aware of for each one. We're going to look at fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Let's start with fluency. Okay, let's talk about fluency. The key thing here the examiner is looking for is the amount of effort it takes for you to speak and to keep speaking over a longer term. At a band 7, which many of you are looking for, you should be able to speak without noticeable effort. So you're able to keep going and produce longer sentences and connect sentences without noticeable effort. If there's a sense of effort, you're going to come down to a band 6 and a band 5. Okay, so that level of effort is the first key thing. The second thing is the ability to keep going. So to finish a sentence, to build a sentence, like in part 2, to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, that should be effortless to keep going, right? It's really important. The other thing is coherence. Coherence is like the glue that sticks your ideas and sentences together. On a basic level, so you know, that's like, first of all, da-da-da-da. And then, in addition, da-da-da-da. Finally, da-da-da. To summarize, da-da-da-da. Now, a word of warning. Your answers are not a meeting professional presentation, right? You don't need 1, 2, 3, 4, that kind of structure. But coherence, connecting, is important. Things like, as I mentioned before, referencing what you said, or on top of that, I would add giving more information. So some kind of connector helps the coherence, but it doesn't have to be like meeting presentation connections, right? Not that kind of structure. Because when you speak naturally and go with the flow, you don't have that kind of structure, but you can connect ideas. Finally, I'd say it's about also developing topics. So not just giving a quick idea, but developing the topic. You know, you've given an idea, say why you think so, justify it, maybe give a counterpoint, maybe summarize. That kind of development of topics also pushes you up to the band 7, 8, and 9. A key thing about fluency, right? People often think it's speed. It is not speed. I don't speak quickly, as you've noticed. That's fine. It's not the same thing. Fluency is just keep going. And you can pause. But there's a difference between hesitation and and pausing. Hesitation, just be careful, right? A quick tip. when you're hesitating, try not to go, Look at the difference, right? I think that, probably the government doesn't know what to do. Compare that with, I think probably the government doesn't really know what to do. Can you see the difference? The is bringing you down and make it sound like your hesitation is all over the place. Take that out and just pause, and you're back at native speaker level. Pausing, really skillful tool to use. A quick tip to do this is when you're speaking, record yourself, notice the ums. And every time you want to go close your mouth. Listen to the silence. All right, let's move on. Okay, talking about vocabulary, we often call that lexical resource. The examiner wants to see you use a wide range of vocabulary and to use it accurately. One of the key things they're looking for is context-sensitive vocabulary, or let's say appropriate vocabulary. So if you're talking about the environment, probably expressions like carbon neutral, carbon footprint, global warming, rising sea levels, all of that is appropriate language to that topic. It's topic-based vocabulary. Really important that you're using it and using it appropriately. So when you're preparing and studying certain topics, learn your topic-based vocabulary and learn to use it appropriately. One of the other things the examiner looks for is whether you're using common vocabulary or less common vocabulary. And probably you need a mix, right? So common vocabulary, it's high frequency, words we use every day. Less common can be either topic-based or more idiomatic expressions that you're able to use, but use appropriately. Don't just throw in an idiom that you've learned unless it really expresses what you want to express in that context. Be context sensitive and it's used appropriately. Otherwise, if you're learning idioms and just trying to use them, sometimes they'll backfire because it just doesn't make sense when you're using it. So yes, study idioms. Yes, use them, but only use the ones you're really confident with. Good. I do have a video that talks a lot more about idioms and idiomatic expressions, which is a much wider, almost more important thing. Check it out in that video. Okay. With vocabulary, the examiner is also looking at a good use of collocation, words that are used together, right? To have a shower, not to go a shower, right? The right collocation. Carbon footprint, right? Not carbon handprint, the right collocation. And your use of or awareness of style. Largely speaking, in the IELTS speaking test, you're using conversational English, but there will be different moments where different styles come into play and nuance. And that's really your high level, is understanding the different nuances between words, the kind of the second or hidden meaning of how we use certain words. And that you just get with practice and developing your vocabulary as you go along. So key message with vocabulary is it's not about complicated or simple. It's about using the right word to express the precise meaning that you have. And let's not forget accuracy, right? Not making mistakes. That is also key. It's the eternal balance of wide range and accuracy. Get that balance that you can use effectively. Let's move on. Right. Similarly, talking about grammar. Similarly with grammar, I think there's a balance between the width, great word, how wide your grammar is and how accurate it is. The examiner's looking for both high accuracy, high range of grammar. By that, I mean, okay, simple grammar and complex grammar. You need both, right? Simple grammar my brother lives in Manchester, more complex grammar, my brother who lives in Manchester has lived there for about 10 years now, and he's thinking of moving somewhere else. So combining both of them, right? Again, to give and convey the precise meaning that you want there. Remember, grammar is not just about tense, like past, present, future, conditional. It's about the structure of the clauses, the use of adverbs or adverbial phrases, adjectives, nouns, word families, word order, clauses, relative clauses, and so on and so forth. It's bigger than just tense. Now, with grammar, I do recommend you have a grammar reference book, that you study grammar, but don't fall into the mistake. Fall into the mistake? No, don't fall into the trap. Don't make the mistake. Better collocation. Don't make the mistake or fall into the trap of only studying grammar. You need to activate it. So as you're studying, make sure you're speaking out, practicing on your own and practicing with other people to activate the grammar. What often happens is students study it and they know the rules, but they can't speak out. So make sure you're speaking it out. It's why I made the Fluent Grammar course. It's all about speaking grammar and using it when you're there. So focus on that. Make sure you're speaking it out as you prepare. That's it for grammar. Let's have a look at pronunciation. So, pronunciation. Don't worry about accent. Doesn't matter if you've got a British accent, American accent, if you've been studying with American YouTubers, it's all good. Or even if you've got a local accent, right? What's important is that your local accent doesn't affect intelligibility. Nice word. Intelligibility is how easily the other person understands you. Can they understand you? So that effort of being able to understand the candidate is what the examiner's looking for. So as they're listening, they're going, what was that? What was that word? What did they say? And if there's an effort, that brings your score down. The more effort I need to make, the lower your pronunciation score. The more I can just sit back and go, ooh, that's easy. Oh, I got it, yeah. The higher your pronunciation score. So, for example, Band 7 can generally be understood. Band 8 can easily be understood throughout. Band 9 can effortlessly be understood throughout. That's what the examiner's looking for. In addition, they'll also be looking for particular pronunciation features. And are you able to use them? Features like sounds, right? Can you make the basic sounds? The difference between I and E, ship and sheep. The phonemes. Can you pronounce words correctly? With the right stress on the right syllable? Can you do sentence stress correctly? Connected speech. Pick me up, pick me up, pick me up. Is that a connected speech? Let's think of another one. Pick up. Yeah, I can pick up the car tomorrow. Pick up, that connected speech. Are you able to demonstrate that sometimes? Intonation. So using the right D, 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 D in the right way to convey the right meaning, right? There are no rules about intonation, but there are general patterns, and it's really worth spending the time to learn the general patterns of intonation. Again, I look at that to quite a large extent in my Fluent Grammar course. If you're interested, that can help with that. So, intonation, what else? Rhythm, pace, all of that, all of these pronunciation features. And one of the key things the examiner looks for is if you're able to use them over long utterances. Sorry, utterance, that's a linguistic word. Sentence, a spoken sentence. Can you maintain that pronunciation over a long sentence? Not just a little clause, but over a long period of time. Because that's how more proficient speakers of English do it, right? So all of these things are key with your pronunciation. So What is the examiner looking for? Well, interesting ideas? Well, they don't have to be interesting. Yes, you need ideas to talk. They don't have to be interesting. I know some teachers will say, yeah, but the examiner has just been testing so many people with the same ideas. You need new ideas. Yes and no, but this is not like a job interview where they evaluate creativity and ideas. This is an English test. They're there to evaluate your English, not your ideas. Ideas are just the medium to carry your English. Are they looking for good communication? It helps, absolutely. But the key is good English. That's what you should focus on. Focus on improving your spoken English. So final tips for you. Do some research so you've got ideas. Focus on developing your overall spoken English, right? Study so that you're discovering new language to get a wider range. Practice on your own and with other people so you're improving your activation of language and you can use it and build your fluency, build your confidence, which helps. It's not evaluated, but it helps, right? And review. Always remember to review because otherwise you're going to forget lots of stuff, right? Study and discover language, practice and review. My speaking success system. It's all there. You want to find out more about that? Go and check out this video. I would also suggest that before the test, you do some mock tests. That's like a practice speaking test under exam conditions so that you're used to that pressure. In the exam, stay focused. Really be present and focused. Listen. Take your time. Try and mark the pace. Speak at your speed. Don't feel rushed by the examiner. Take your time so you can do the best that you possibly can. Often I say to people, imagine that you've met somebody at a work party or an office party and you're speaking to that person. So it's relaxed, it's fairly informal, but it's not kind of friends. There's a level of formality, but it's just natural spoken, conversational English. Do that. Try and enjoy the test. Positive mindset. I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to do my best. Believe in yourself. And you'll do wonderfully. If you are doing the IELTS speaking test soon, best of luck. Hope it goes well. Let me know in the comments below how it goes. And if you want a quick summary of all these ideas, there is a PDF you can download for free, can help you out. Link in the description below. In the meantime, take care. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you maybe in the next video that's coming just around the corner. Take care. Good luck. Bye-bye.